Before I start, I need you to understand something. I'm not someone who believed in this stuff. Not curses, not demons, not any of it. I was the practical one in my family, the one who paid the bills, who fixed things, who didn't have time for superstition. That changed in 2023. If you're new here, my name is Sarah, and what I'm about to tell you isn't a story I found online or something a friend of a friend told me. This happened to my family, to my mother, to my siblings, to me. I still don't fully understand what we let into our home, but I know it was real because I watched it happen with my own eyes, and I have a police report that says I'm not crazy. Let's go back to the beginning. I'm the oldest daughter in my family. There were 6 of us kids. My older brother, me, 2 younger sisters, and 2 younger brothers. My dad passed away a few years back, and when that happened, something shifted in our house. It's a strange thing, losing the person who used to hold everything together. Suddenly, the roof doesn't just stay up on its own. Somebody has to hold it there. And in our family, that became my older brother and me. We split it. The bills, the errands, calming my mom down when she had bad nights, making sure the younger ones did their homework. It wasn't easy, but we made it work. We had a rhythm, a broken one, but a rhythm. Then 2023 happened. I lost my older brother that year. I'm not going to go into the details of how because that's not what this story is about, and honestly, some wounds I'm still not ready to open on camera. But I need you to understand what that did to our family. Overnight, I wasn't sharing the responsibility anymore. I was it. The rent, the groceries, my siblings' school, my mother's grief, all of it landed on me at once, and I was maybe in my early 20s. I started working constantly. Any hours I could get, I barely slept. And even with that, the rent on our apartment became something I genuinely couldn't keep up with. So we made a decision as a family. We'd downsize, move somewhere smaller, somewhere cheaper, and try to breathe again. We found a new place. Smaller, older, but manageable. We packed up the apartment that held all our memories, good and unbearably painful, and we moved. I thought that was the hard part, moving on, literally and figuratively. I was wrong. The hard part hadn't even started yet. Grief does strange things to people. I know that now more than I ever wanted to. My mother had lost her husband and her firstborn son within a few years of each other, and something in her just broke in a different direction. She stopped being the woman who used to roll her eyes at superstition right along with me. She started turning toward things I didn't recognize. Beliefs about numbers, about directions you're not supposed to sleep facing, about eyes that could curse you just by looking at you the wrong way. I told myself it was a phase, a coping mechanism. People grab onto whatever keeps them upright, right? Then she met a woman. I don't know exactly where, through a friend of a friend, I think, or maybe at one of those gatherings grieving women sometimes go to. This woman presented herself as spiritual, someone who could read your energy, cleanse your home, protect you from what she called the eyes, people who wish you harm just by looking at you with envy. My mother and this woman became close, fast. Too fast if you asked me. She started coming by our new apartment regularly, in and out, like she belonged there. I hated her from the first time I met her. I want to be honest with you. I can't point to one specific thing she did or said that first time. It was a feeling. The kind of feeling you get in your stomach before your brain even catches up to why. My siblings didn't share it. They kept telling me, "Sarah, let mom have this. She's been through so much. If this makes her feel safe, let her feel safe." So I let it go. I stopped fighting it out loud, even though something in me kept whispering that I shouldn't. Then, one day, this woman brought my mother a gift. Little bundles of incense. She told my mother they were special, that burning them would protect the house from demon eyes, from bad energy, from whatever unseen thing she claimed was watching us. I looked at those little bundles sitting on the counter, and I told my mother, flat out, "Don't burn these." I don't know why. I just knew. Call it instinct, call it whatever you want. But she insisted. She said I didn't understand, that this woman had helped her feel like herself again for the first time since Dad and my brother died, and she wasn't going to throw that away because her daughter had a bad feeling. I let it go. Again, I wish more than almost anything that I let it go. Again. I remember the night clearly because it started so normal. My two younger siblings, one sister, one brother, asked if they could go out for a bit. I gave them some money and told them to grab me a coffee on their way back. It was an ordinary request on an ordinary evening. I had no idea it would be the last ordinary evening we'd have in that apartment for a long time. That same night, my mother decided to burn the incense the spiritual woman had given her. I'll admit, it smelled good, sweet, almost floral, with something underneath it I couldn't place. Not the sharp chemical smell you'd expect from something off. I want to be clear about that because what happened next still confuses me. I was in the living room talking with my mother when our neighbor knocked on our door. She asked, with her face slightly scrunched, if we smelled something burning, something with a disgusting smell. I told her honestly, we don't smell anything bad, just my mother's incense. She stepped a little closer to our doorway, inhaled, and paused. Then she said, "Yes, it's coming from your apartment." But when I told her it smelled good to me, she looked at me like I'd said something insane. Her face just fell. She didn't argue. She just said, "It's not," in this quiet, flat voice and closed her door. I stood there for a second, confused. To me and my mother, standing in the same room, breathing the same air, it smelled sweet. To her, standing feet away in the hallway, it smelled disgusting, like something rotting. I didn't think much of it at the time. People smell things differently, right? Maybe she had a cold. Maybe it was something in her own apartment. I closed the door. My younger siblings left for their coffee run, and I went back to my laptop to keep working. I had no idea that within the hour, my entire family would be screaming. My phone rang. It was my sister, the one who'd gone out for coffee. I picked up, and before I could even say hello, she was screaming. Not upset screaming, terrified screaming. She said someone was following them. That's all she got out before the call cut off. I sat there for half a second, stunned, phone still in my hand, my brain trying to process what I'd just heard. Then I heard my brother, my younger one, still home, screaming from his room. I ran. When I got there, I found him fighting the air, swinging his arms at nothing. There was no one in that room with him, I swear to you. I checked every corner myself. I grabbed him, held him, tried to calm him down, and through his panic, he told me the wardrobe doors kept opening and closing on their own. I looked at the wardrobe. The doors were opening and closing by themselves. I stood there frozen, one hand still on my brother's shoulder, watching wood swing on hinges with no one touching it, when I heard my mother scream from her room. I ran to her next. She was on the floor, blood running from her nose. She told me, shaking in shock, that she'd been asleep and something had grabbed her and dragged her off the bed. She fell face first onto the floor. In the middle of all of this, my brother fighting invisible hands, doors moving on their own, my mother bleeding on the floor. My phone rang again. It was my sister's number. I answered immediately, expecting to hear her voice. Instead, it was a stranger. A man. He identified himself as a doctor. He told me my sister and brother had been in a car accident. They'd crashed into a tree. I don't remember getting to the hospital. I remember arriving. That's the gap in my memory. The in-between doesn't exist for me anymore. When we got there, the strange part was there was almost no damage to them physically. Shaken, bruised, but alive, coherent, safe. I asked them what happened, and what they told me is something I still think about. They said someone had been following them, on foot. A human shape, they said, but wrong. Fully black. No features, like a shadow that had learned to stand up and walk. And it was fast, faster than the car. No matter how much they accelerated, it stayed with them, gaining, until it appeared directly on the windshield in front of them, not beside the car, not behind it, on the glass, blocking their view entirely. That's when they hit the tree. I want to pause here and just say, I know how this sounds. I know exactly how it sounds because I lived it and I still catch myself trying to explain it away. But I've never known my siblings to lie to me, especially not both of them, independently, giving me matching details in a hospital room while still trembling. Something followed them home that night. And it wasn't finished with us. I wish I could tell you things calmed down after that night. They didn't. If anything, that night was the door opening, and what came through kept coming for weeks. One night, my youngest brother came to find me, visibly shaken. He told me there was a man in the living room. He said the man wanted to see me specifically. I want you to understand the layout of our apartment for a second. The front door was locked. It hadn't been opened. There was no other way in, no back entrance, no ground floor window someone could climb through. When I went to check, there was no one there, but there was something. Long, dark hair. Strands of it scattered across the floor, trailing from the middle of the living room all the way to the apartment's front door, like something with long hair had walked that exact path and shed as it went. My brother told me the man he saw didn't have long hair at all. He described him as looking like an ordinary man. Regular hair, regular height. Nothing about him screamed monster, he said, which honestly terrified me more. We checked our home security camera immediately. Nothing. No man. And this is the part that still gets me. Not even the hair showed up on the footage. We could see it lying there on the floor with our own eyes, but the camera, pointed directly at that spot, showed a completely empty floor. Whatever left that hair behind either wasn't there for the camera the way it was there for us, or it simply didn't want to be recorded. After that, it became almost routine, which is a horrifying sentence to say out loud. Nearly every day we'd find footprints. On the floor, fine, unsettling, but at least explainable in our minds if we tried hard enough. But then on the walls, and on the ceiling. Footprints. On the ceiling. I don't have an explanation for that. I still don't. I've stopped trying to force one. Then came the night with my mother. I sent my younger brother to go get her from her room for dinner. Something so mundane, so normal. Instead of coming back with her, he came back screaming. He told me he'd walked in and seen something on my mother's shoulders. He described it as looking almost like a small human, but shaped like a dog, sitting on her, smiling, its head tilting and moving in a way that felt wrong, deliberate, aware. I ran in immediately. There was nothing there. There was nothing there. My mother hadn't felt a thing. She had no idea what my brother was describing. But my brother wasn't the type to make things up, and the look on his face when he told me wasn't one I'd ever seen on him before. That was the moment I stopped trying to find rational explanations for every single incident individually and started asking a much bigger, much scarier question. What did we bring into this house? I made the decision to leave. Not permanently. I didn't have the resources to just abandon our home and start over from nothing, but temporarily while I figured out what to do. I packed up what I could and took my family to stay with my aunt. I remember thinking, foolishly, that maybe distance would be enough. Maybe whatever this was tied to the apartment, and if we just left, it would stay behind. Not long after we left, my mother's phone rang. It was her, the spiritual woman. She was furious, screaming at my mother, demanding to know why we'd left the house, she said, and I remember this because it chilled me to my core. Don't blame anybody now but yourself. That sentence changed everything for me. Why would leaving a house upset a woman who claimed to be protecting us from bad energy? Why would our safety be something to be angry about? I sat my mother down and told her plainly, look at what's happened. Look at everything that's happened to this family since that woman walked into our lives. I told her I believed without a single doubt left in my mind that this woman was the cause. I called my cousin. He's a police officer. I told him everything, exactly what I'm telling you now. He didn't laugh at me. He didn't dismiss it. He told me he'd look into her. Weeks later, he called me back. They'd found her, and what they found in her home confirmed everything I'd feared but hadn't wanted to say out loud. They found photographs of us, our family, in her house. She wasn't a spiritual healer. She was, in the words the investigation used, an enchantment woman, someone whose actual practice was hurting people, cursing them, targeting them deliberately for reasons I still don't fully understand and honestly don't think I want to. She was arrested. We never moved back into that apartment. I made the decision to relocate my entire family somewhere else. somewhere with no connection to her, no connection to that address, nothing she could point a photograph at anymore. And after that, nothing happened. The footsteps stopped, the doors stayed still, the shadows stayed shadows. My mother slept through the night without anyone touching her. I think about that woman sometimes. I think about how she used my mother's grief, real grief, the kind that hollows a person out, as an opening. She didn't force her way into our lives. She was invited in, gently, one act of kindness at a time, until she had photographs of all of us and access to burn things in our home whenever she wanted. I don't know what those incense bundles really were. I don't know what she called into our apartment that night, or if it was something that had been building for longer than that. What I know is this: my brother fought something invisible. My mother was pulled from her bed by hands that weren't there. My siblings were chased by something that outran a moving car and then stood on the windshield like it was standing on solid ground. And somewhere in a stranger's house, there were pictures of my family's faces, kept for reasons that still make my skin crawl. If there's one thing I want you to take from this, it's this: grief makes people vulnerable in ways they don't even realize until it's too late. If someone you love is hurting and a stranger shows up offering to fix that hurt with rituals, with objects, with promises of protection that come with strings attached, pay attention. Trust that feeling in your stomach, even if everyone around you tells you you're overreacting. I trusted mine too late. I got my family out before it was too late for us. Not everyone is that lucky. If you made it to the end of this one, thank you for listening to my story. If something like this has ever happened to you or your family, I'd genuinely like to hear about it in the comments. Sharing it helped me more than I expected it to. Stay safe. Trust your gut. I'll see you in the next one.